Bienvenidos to Humans in Accounting, the podcast where we pause the AI buzz for a minute and focus on the real humans behind the numbers. We chat with founders and leaders to hear their journey, what drives them, and the important things in life. Because behind every balance sheet, there's a story worth telling. Humans in Accounting is brought to you by South Offices. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Humans in Accounting, where firm owners share their story behind their spreadsheets. As you know, I'm Alex Roman, and this podcast is brought to you by South Offices, connecting accounting talent across borders. Today, we have our guest, Kristen, owner at MediaBooks, and as we usually do in these podcasts, we'll be talking with her. Yeah, we want to know her story, how she built MediaBooks, and I'm really happy just to have you here, Kristen. Nice having you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Alex. I'm excited to talk all things accounting with you.
That's great. It's unfortunate because we were in this same event in Scaling Heights a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, now, well, we got introduced by someone that we both know, and now that I've been seeing, I'll be following on LinkedIn, seeing your podcast, and I'm pretty sure that I recognize you, and I remember you had that booth. But well, I promise now next time that we see each other, I'm gonna say hi, and we're gonna talk about this episode we made today.
Yeah. No, it's funny. The online accounting world, I feel like it's a really small world, but you keep finding like these little niches of like people that, you're constantly meeting people, new people all the time. But
Yeah,
yeah, it does feel really small and like a lot of people already know each other. So it's a cool
it
community.
does. But at the same time, it's that scaling the heights. I'm not sure, like 2,800, almost 3,000 people. What am I saying? Is that correct?
So they had 14, I think around 1,400 attendees, but that doesn't include the vendors and like all the staff running the event. So, I mean, 3,000 sounds about right, I would say.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Still, it's a lot, and there were some people that I met in other events, and I didn't have the opportunity just to meet them in this one. But well, the good thing is that now we're connected. We're doing this podcast, and next time for
Yeah.
sure I'm gonna go and say hi.
Yeah.
So
No, please.
that's something that we'll do. Great, Kristen. Well, as you know, here in Humans in Accounting, this podcast, basically now that everyone is talking about AI and we're all like seeing what we can do with AI, I just want to
Hmm.
go back to the human part, which I can relate because I am human, and I would love just to know a little bit more about your story, which is really interesting. Yeah, tell us a little bit about how you started. I know that you had some experience in accounting, but then you transitioned to media books. So tell me a little bit about your background and how you got here.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of your interviews are with accounting firm owners, and while I am not an accounting firm owner, I do have a background that I think is really relatable to a lot of accountants. And if I don't know, if my career was later on in life or later on in time, I probably would be an accounting firm owner and be in a lot of positions that a lot of your listeners are in. So my start into accounting actually goes back to like high school. My dad was a software developer at KPMG, and in high school he was traveling. When I was in high school, he was traveling to London for like 3 weeks at a time for some big project, and he was going there for 3 weeks, and he'd come back, and then he'd go there and come back. And I remember at one of his trips, he came back and he said, I met with this auditor at KPMG, and she was telling me all about her job, and she gets to, look into different companies' financials. And he really sold it, is my point. But he made it sound like really cool. And he's like, and she gets to travel and do this and that. And it sounded like a really fun job where you get to travel all the time and like help business owners make financial decisions. And that was really
Hold on.
appealing to me.
I need to interrupt you. How
Yeah.
old were you? Because I'm not sure if you were 5 or 18
No,
or
I was probably like 16, 17 at the time.
okay. Okay, and
Yeah, yeah.
he's told you that this was a good career to just to
Yeah,
okay.
right. And this was around 2008 when there was also there was a big recession in the US. And
Hmm.
so another big appeal was that, or the thing that I kept hearing was accountants are always the last ones to get fired. You will if you are getting fired, you will there's like a really big issue and it's not just you. So that was also very appealing to me as I'm preparing to go to college and figure out what I want to major in. I was like considering architecture. I was considering like majoring in accounting and like also hospitality because I really wanted to travel. And so I ended up going to Azusa Pacific University. For those of you on the West Coast, you probably know it. But they were just starting an incredible accounting or growing their accounting program there. And I studied accounting. I did my bachelor's in 3 years, my master's in 1 year. I was really determined to get that done. And throughout my entire college education, I did every internship I can get my hands on. I did tax, I did a nonprofit, I did audit for government entities. And then I also had a job doing bookkeeping at like the career development office. And
Okay.
so if this isn't going to make me sound like a nerd, I was also president of our accounting honor society. And so I
Whoa.
fully immersed myself. Yes, I was very driven. I wanted a great career in accounting. And while this was all going on, there were little hints that like maybe this isn't for you. So like when I took on the position of president of Accounting Honor Society, the very first thing I did was a rebrand of the accounting. So I made like a logo and a color palette and I like made it, more presentable. And so that was kind of my first sign that maybe accounting isn't for me. But as I'm doing all these internships, there was one that went really well that I really enjoyed, being an auditor for government agencies. Yeah, after I finished my master's, I went and I did auditing. At the same time, I was also studying for the CPA exam, and we're in busy season and I'm exhausted and I'm like, how is this sustainable? I remember waking up at 6 a.m. to drive to a client site so I can get there like 7:30, working a 12-hour day and then driving home, getting home at 9 p.m. and thinking, okay, now I got to study for the CPA exam. And I think at the time, I mean, this was around 2015, 2014. There wasn't a
Okay.
lot of like community around accounting or like people studying for the CPA exam. And I'm like, how is this possible? Like, am I the only one that thinks this is insane that like doesn't have any energy at night to study? And I think today there's a lot of like encouraging resources and communities out there that say like, no, you're not insane or you can do this or that. But I think kind of the model that, I mean, we just start off like burning people out. Like first year
Right.
associate, you're in busy season, you're working these crazy hours and it's not a great model
Right.
that really like it's not a great introduction to the industry. And so I'm doing that. And then after about a year, my then boyfriend, now husband, he actually had the chance to move to France.
Hmm.
And this was after we'd been long distance for 5 years. And I was like, okay, like
So
I'm
you've
at
been
this,
5 years in long distance, and then you
yeah,
okay? I didn't know
yeah,
that. That's a great story. Perfect.
yeah. Well, he was at a military academy and
Okay.
I was not going to do the military thing.
Right.
But yeah, we were long distance for 5 years and we were kind of at the point like relationship wise, like we either need to take this seriously or go our separate ways. And so as he's like presenting me with like, hey, do you want to come with me to France? Coincidentally, the accounting firm I was at, the partner there who I developed a relationship with came to me and was like, hey, look, I don't see you as an auditor. I don't see you as an accountant, which is not what you want to hear as a first year associate
Exactly.
from like the boss. And so she's like, I don't see you as this, but we have this consulting branch that maybe we're thinking of like training you and transitioning you from our like auditing part to consulting. Extremely appealing to me. And it sounded like an incredible career opportunity. But again, I feel like I had these two paths that I had to like decide. I ended up moving to France and looking back, I feel like it was a pivotal moment in my career. And I don't think like there was a right or wrong decision. I think I could have been happy going either way, but I'm very glad I moved to France. And so this was 2016. I move abroad. There's not a lot of remote work. Remote
Hmm.
work definitely didn't take off at that point. And I started looking for like jobs and any work that was available. And marketing was one of the few industries that was welcoming, online marketing specifically. So I got my start basically doing what ChatGPT and AI do automatically now. I
Okay.
wrote blog content, I built websites, I stumbled through like creating social media posts, and it was not great at first, but I got better. And after doing that for about 2 years, I returned to the States. I wanted to go back into accounting. I wanted to try my CPA exam again. And as I was talking with different accounting firms, they were seeing this marketing experience and they're like, hey, we'll hire you as an accountant, but will you also do our marketing? And one firm I ended up working with, and after working with them for about a year, my boss came to me and she basically had the same conversation with me that another partner had a couple of years ago, is that I don't see you as an accountant. I think you're really good at this marketing thing, and I think you should go do this for other accounting firms as well. So, I've had, I think, a similar story to a lot of accountants in that they find themselves in this industry and something doesn't feel right. But I also think the accounting industry is broad enough that you can figure out a path that's right for you and you can figure out a way to make it work. And whether that means, just doing marketing, but doing it for accountants or like starting your own firm, there's a lot of flexibility in the industry. And I don't think that's expressed as well to students and new people entering the accounting industry. So that's my story, I guess, in a very long or very large nutshell.
Or in a very short, because you told all your story in just a few minutes, which is great. I have like so many questions. I didn't want to interrupt you, but now
Yeah.
I want to ask you. The first question is, when you were in France, were you working for a company, for a French company, or you working remotely for an American?
Yeah, so I actually got my start on Upwork, so the freelance website. My visa at the time I didn't speak French. I only know like French food, and like beyond that, I knew nothing. So there wasn't a lot of opportunities with like French companies. I was also in like not a small town, but not a huge town. And so remote work kind of just seemed like the perfect chance to kind of like travel and do all the traveling we wanted to do and also, find something that I can hopefully take back to the States. So yeah,
Okay,
Upwork
okay,
was my
perfect.
start.
Upwork, and hold on, you said you didn't speak French back then. Do you speak now French?
I can understand like very basic conversational French, and I know food very well. And I tried to take like classes abroad too, but the French are there's some I don't want to say intense. They're very upfront people, and I was very intimidated in my French classes. So yeah, I have like basic conversational French and some food, but I haven't had a chance to practice it too much since we left in 2018.
You know the important things. If you know
Yeah.
food, then you're all set. You know what? I've studied French for I don't know how many years. I went
Okay.
to, I'm pretty good at Spanish. My first language is Spanish,
Yes.
and I went to this bilingual school that it was in the morning all the subjects in Spanish, but in the evening, in the afternoon, all the subjects in English.
Hmm.
And then the last few years we had French. Basically, it was French. It was not francés. That's French and Spanish.
Hmm.
So the teacher was explaining us how to speak French in English to Argentinian boys. So I remember it was a mess in my head. Like they said, hey, if you want to say hello, my name is
Yeah.
Alex, you will need to say je m'appelle, bonjour, je m'appelle Alex, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I studied, and then I went to the Alliance Française so many years, but now I'm definitely not capable of having a conversation. However, if I hear and if the other person really wants just to communicate with me using gestures, I think that I'll be able to have a really basic conversation. French is like Spanish is like the verbs are harder. Then you have like masculine and feminine each like it's
Right.
uh, you know the table is the table, the chair or whatever in Spanish or in French. Yeah, you need to
Yeah.
know that it's la silla, etc. Anyways, so well, that's great. And let's go back. You mentioned that you understood how to say the important stuff like food, and I'm not sure if you know, but this is the only accounting podcast in the world that is hosted by an Argentinian who asks our guests, "What's the favorite food?" I'm just trying just to do a ranking. The favorite food of humans in accounting. You definitely qualify. So this is me asking you, after all this introduction, what's your favorite food? And I know
What's
it's
my
a
favorite?
hard one, and I'm just looking for one answer. And yeah,
Yeah, I got
this
my
is me
answer.
asking you. You got
I
your
got my
answer,
answer.
so
I got my answer.
tell me.
Risotto. Love risotto.
Risotto.
Yeah?
Okay, like which kind or what's the
Yeah.
best one?
So my risotto, the risotto I make. So I made this for my husband's family like 10 years ago, I think. And it has been like our family staple since then. We'll make it on like Christmas or birthdays. We can't make it too much because obviously you'll get sick of it. It's tomato Italian sausage risotto. Very basic. So if you know like the basic formula of risotto, for those that don't know, it's just like rice, but the way that you cook it and add things to it, it makes it like a creamy rice. So you just make like a risotto with Italian sausage, onion, Parmesan cheese, canned tomatoes, spinach. It's it's incredible. It's all the good things that you love about like a good dish. And if you know anything about like culinary arts, it has like the acidity and the salt and the fat, and it's
No,
incredible. It's
it
yeah.
is. I agree. It's definitely on my top. Oh, the thing is, I keep on saying how I don't know how, there's a top like 18 plates that I really like, and definitely risotto is up there.
Uh-huh.
I like mine with uh probably I tried now one that it was I tried it for the first time like a pumpkin risotto.
Yeah, that's good too.
Really, really interesting. The typical that I like is the one with mushrooms. But yeah, this last one for me, it's important like those kind of food just to have them. You know, here in Argentina, we're in the winter, so I enjoy them more when the weather is chilly or it's cold. You know, having a nice warm risotto. So thank you for answering me this question. I'm gonna put it there. My objective is that for episode 100, I'm gonna have a ranking of
Okay.
the top, yeah, the best food in
Wait.
humans in accounting.
So how is
Yes.
it ranked? Is it ranked based on like what is like in your opinion the best food, or is it like by like how many people have ranked it as their
No,
favorite food?
how many people? I have nothing to do. I'm
Mm.
just a mess. What was that face? You disagree?
Because here's the thing. Because I know a lot of people probably haven't had like my good risotto, and so I think you need to have like a taste test, and then we need to reassess favorite foods. Because are people saying stuff like pizza?
Don't say that. Don't say that. They might be saying,
Yeah.
but again, this is there is this I don't know if it exists in English, but there is this saying in Spanish that on top of yeah, no, it makes no sense. Like as far as tastes,
Yeah.
anyone can select whatever they want. Sobre
Okay.
gustos, no
Sure.
hay nada escrito. That's the Spanish that basically says that anyone can select whatever they
Okay.
want.
Right.
So my objective is just to publish that list at some point, and maybe, hopefully, people in the future will say, "Hey, how is it possible that that risotto is number two? I never tried risotto," and they're gonna try it, and then they're
Yeah.
gonna be happier. That's my
Okay.
objective.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I'm Italian, so I can get controversial when it comes to food. Italians are very opinionated when it comes to food.
When you say you're Italian, meaning you were born in Italy? No.
No, so here's the so I know in Argentina it's a little it's seen a little differently. And in the States, you can basically call yourself Italian if you have Italian heritage. So my I'm second generation. So my grandparents immigrated from Italy. And
Okay.
so Italian American.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I don't know if you know, but in Argentina we had many people from after the wars, the first war, the second war, they came
Yeah.
immigrated from mainly from Spain and from Italy, and that's why when you talk with an Argentinian, now I have my hands here, but it's pretty common that we use our hands a lot,
Right,
but
right.
the
Yeah.
Italians are gesture.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Kirsten, for answering me this question. I'll keep you posted then when I post the top outputs, and we still need to have a few more episodes. Let's go back to MediaBooks. I want to ask you a few questions there. Do you work with like a specific niche or a specific type of client now? Tell me a little bit about that MediaBooks agency.
Yeah. So, I mean, our niche is accounting firms, but I do find that there is a particular type of like accounting firm owner that is attracted to our services.
Mm-hmm.
So, usually they want more than just kind of like referrals coming into their business. Referrals are no doubt the number one way accounting firms grow, but usually there's kind of like this element of, I want to build something more than just a business for myself. And so, typically they care about things like branding, website, online presence. Maybe they want to start a podcast. Maybe they want to be a little bit more bold with their brand. A lot of our clients come to us and they're like, I don't want something that looks like everyone else, or my website doesn't really feel like me. I don't feel like people are actually knowing me or learning about my services when they come to my website. That's very common for the types of clients that come to us. And so they come to us and they're like, I have no idea like where my domain is. I have no idea if my social media content is working or if my profile is optimized. And so that's all fine. We can figure that out. But a lot of our clients, they just have like a good energy for like, hey, I want to grow. I want to really grow my business. I want to do something different. And I think you see a huge wave right now of accounting firm owners and solopreneurs, small firms, 1 to 10 employees that are like, I want to do things differently. And usually we are a great fit for those accounting firm owners.
Well, that's great. Here at Self Offices, we work a lot like with medium-sized accounting firms, but also with solopreneurs, like
Mhm.
solopreneurs that are working just by themselves, and that's at that point where they don't know if they can take another client because they don't have the capacity, but at the same time, they don't know if they can hire someone full time. So now, on this last year, we started working with some solopreneurs, and maybe in the future, listeners are at this point. So feel free, obviously, just to reach out to Kristen and MediaBooks. MediaBooks Agency is your website, correct?
MediaBooksAgency.com. Yeah.
MediaBooksAgency.com. Let me, okay, perfect. Thank you for clarifying that. Let me ask you, yeah, I want to ask you, like, since you started MediaBooks Agency, do you have like maybe one milestone, one achievement that at some point you got there and you said, hey, whoa, incredible that I got or that this happened. It could be anything. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I ask you this?
I mean, when I first got started, I got some advice that like you need to celebrate the milestones because I think as an entrepreneur or a business owner, we're constantly moving the goalpost and it feels like we're never making progress just because we're moving the goalpost. And when I think back to like, I don't know, especially the early days, there were a lot of like little wins that you can celebrate. So getting my first client, I remember it was during COVID. I started my business in 2020. And so my celebration was like me and my husband in the backyard with a bottle of champagne. And we just, popped it. And I bought these like fun champagne coupe glasses. And that was just kind of like, our celebration. And then my first client that was 4 digits, that was a monthly client, that was also big. We were living in Japan at the time. And there was a restaurant that did Wagyu burgers.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went out to this like night. It wasn't fancy, but it was good. Like Wagyu burger restaurant. I told you I'm a foodie. I'm really into food. Uh,
No, no, no.
but
I feel you.
yeah,
I'm there as well.
right. So I mean, the burgers were so good. And then this isn't one I necessarily celebrated, but I remember thinking like, okay, like this is working. And it was the first time I had a consultation with someone and they started asking me personal questions like, oh, how did your move go? And how did this happen? And I'm thinking, how does this person know so much about me? And they're like, oh yeah, because I listened to your podcast. And I'm like, yeah, I talk about my personal life on my podcast. And so I don't know. I think a lot of times you're doing like all these marketing efforts and you're putting out all this work and you feel like no one's reading it. I think it was like a little bit of a reassurance and milestone that I remember that like, hey, it is working. People are listening, even though it feels like maybe, you're just putting stuff out there and no one's paying attention.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there you answer me maybe another question that I wanted just to ask you, like what's a good advice that maybe you can share with someone else, or what's a good advice that someone gave you. I
Mhm.
really like what you said, like to celebrate those, because it's exactly that. Like we never have time. Whenever we accomplish something, then we realize that we have this other 17 things to do, and
Yeah,
maybe we just crossed two out of those 17, and we never stop to have that bottle of champagne in the
right.
backyard, or that wagyu burger. So yeah,
Yeah.
I really like that. Is there any other advice maybe that you can share, or yeah, share with someone who is, considering starting their own business,
Sure.
not necessarily at accounting or at anything, something that someone told you sometime that you say, hey,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I be your own client, I think is really important, especially when it comes to marketing. So we're accounting firm owners, right? We go and we advise people, we look at their financial statements and we tell them whether things are good or bad. We kind of have an idea of what things should look like. And a lot of times that idea is based on things like industry averages or knowing where people should be at. If someone has a 2% profit margin, you know based on the industry whether that's good or bad, or whether they have a 70% profit, you know whether that's good or bad. When it comes to marketing, because that's what I practice, this is going to be the lesson. When it comes to marketing, you need to kind of be aware of the same things. What are industry averages, and what is a good versus a bad, marketing stat? And I think the reason that I want this to be the lesson is because a lot of times when you go on social media and you're consuming content, people make it sound like they hit six figures in 6 months and they're all making millions and they all have this incredible story of how they went from rags to riches because they started their accounting firm. And I think the reality is not as exciting. If you look at something like marketing industry averages, an average open rate for email campaigns, usually like 20% is good. That's like average. It sounds terrible. If you send an email to 100 people and only 20 people open it, you can easily think I'm a failure. 80 people didn't open this email, but that's good according to industry averages. Just like with financial statements where you know kind of like how to judge whether the results are good or bad, get familiar with marketing industry averages, and that's the metric that you should be using as far as whether your marketing is working or not. When it comes to follow rates on social media, your account growing by 1% each month, that's average. So, I mean, if you're growing faster than that, then that's good. So that's really my advice when it comes to marketing is get familiar with those industry averages so you can kind of feel out whether what you're doing is working, because I think a lot of times we just think it's not working, but it's actually meeting industry average standards. Of course, it's good to want to do better, but I think it's really helpful to know like how you stack up and whether you're actually implementing a lot of these principles well.
absolutely, absolutely, that's great. And also that it has to do with what you said before. Again, celebrate. I really like that, and I'm gonna start using it in my personal life.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just celebrate those small wins, because yeah, it's necessary just to in Spanish again. I'm sorry, I'm just
No.
translating.
Yeah.
Here we say we stop the ball, because Argentinians we're so into football or soccer, and we say we need to stop the ball and think for 1 second before we just made that pass to
Okay.
someone else. No, let's just stop. Well, the same I think is, hey, let's be happy for 1 second that we have achieved this or that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny. Americans have the phrase keep the ball rolling. And that's
Keep the ball rolling.
very American. Like, don't worry about it. Just keep going.
Yeah,
So,
I understand how that could apply to a specific scenario, but in some other
yeah.
scenarios, maybe it's important not to keep the ball going for 5 minutes only, and
Yeah.
see if we want to keep on the
Yeah. Yeah.
perfect, perfect. Well, those were the questions that I wanted just to ask you today. Kristen, let me ask you, people in the future watching, listening this and YouTube, this is me telling everyone, I've been watching and following your own podcast, so you can go ahead and follow Kristen and the content of Media Books and YouTube. where can everyone find you? Let's say if someone say, hey, maybe Kristen can help us out, where can they reach, or what's the best way to reach out?
Yeah. So I am most active on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Instagram, we're at MediaBooks Agency. LinkedIn, you can find my name, Kristen Corey, and then YouTube, it's at MediaBooks Agency. But our website is MediaBooksAgency.com. And there you can find all the places we are, all the social media and podcasts, channels, and YouTube, and all that good stuff.
Right. And now also here in Humans in Accounting, Kristen, it was really nice having you today. Thank you so much for joining. And well, to everyone, see you in another episode of Humans in Accounting. Have
Awesome. Thanks so
a
much, Alex.
good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.